Hello. So you guys should be ready. Get out your packets. Make sure you pass them out to everybody at your table, and we'll get right started right away. So we have our I can statement. It's already on the board, but I will write it with you. So I can multiply numbers with decimals using partial products. If I were you, I would underline partial products. That's a key term, something that you'll be learning what that is in just a moment. So it's okay that you don't know it just this moment. So go ahead and look at the bottom of this page. We're going to start working on the warm-up in just a moment. Alright, so we're still on the front page. This is the warm-up. Once you know how to do this, it'll really help you with the stuff that we're working on today. So we have 5 times 12, something that I know you guys can solve, but I'm asking you to solve it in a different way today. 5 times 12 can be broken into 2 different products, 2 different multiplication problems, which is what we call partial products. So we can actually split up the 1 and the 2 into 2 different multiplication problems. And what you'll have then is 5 times 10, we got the 1 from there, that's 10, plus 5 times 2. Now if you're to solve for each of these, you'll end up with the same answer you would have originally. So 5 times 10 is 50, plus 5 times 2, which is 10. Then we simply have 50 plus 10, and that gives us 60. So that's not too different, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using this method to help us multiply decimals, which is a little bit more challenging. So let me erase this real fast, and we will scroll up. Alright, there we go. So this time we've got 5 times 2.3. So this is looking a little bit more challenging, a little bit different, but we're going to use partial products once again. So half the battle in all these problems we've been working on this week is just figuring out how to set it up. So with this one, what you have is 5 times 2 plus 5 times 0.3. With this one, once again, we solve them one at a time. 5 times 2 is 10. And then we're going to add the 5 times 0.3. When you multiply a decimal like this, 5 times 0.3, just think of it as 5 times 3, and then remember to move the decimal. So for a moment, we're going to pretend like this decimal is over here. 5 times 3 is 15. So our answer has a decimal here, and then we just got to put that decimal back. It's like we move it back into place, and we end up with 1.5. So 10 plus 1.5. Now I'm going to line this up vertically to make sure that we don't mess this up. So we've got 10. I'm going to put 0.0 to really make sure we don't make any mistakes. 10.0 plus 1.5. We end up with 5 here. The decimal goes down, and 11.5. And that's our answer. So we'll be doing more stuff like this, just with bigger numbers on the next page. So flip that page, and I'll be with you in a few seconds. Okay, so here we are on the guided practice. We have 200 times 32.6. So start trying to set this up on your own based on what we just practiced, where we split up this number that has the decimal. So first we just need to write this out the right way. So even if you have trouble multiplying, please be sure you're showing me you know how to set up these problems, and then I'll know that you're still learning what the lesson is teaching. So 200, we're going to split this number here. So we have 200 times 32 plus 200 times 0.6. And now we've got 2 multiplication problems we're going to solve that are a little easier than the original, and then simply add it together. So this one, 200 times 32. Let's go ahead and do this one. There's multiple ways you can do this. You can kind of get rid of the zeros if you want and just do 2 times 32, then put those zeros back, or you can multiply it the long way like I'm going to do. So we've got our zeros here, because they all multiply down. We have 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 3 is 6. So we've got 6,400. Once again, multiple ways to do that, and that is just fine. This one here, 200 times 0.6. Once again, several ways to do this. The way that I like to think about this is I'm going to again pretend that this is not a decimal. Let's move this over. So it's like I'm multiplying 200 by 6, and what I end up with is 1,200. And I just got to remember to put that decimal back. So since we moved it over to the right once, now our answer needs to move back over, and it's just 120.0. If you want to do this with lattice method, I also highly encourage that. You would have 0.6 times 200. What I love about lattice is it makes it easy to work with decimals. Just make sure you put your decimal on the 200 there as well. Sorry if it's a little bit difficult to see. You draw your slashes here. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 0 is 0. And 6 times 0 is 0. Now you add up through these channels here. You got 0, 0, 2, and 1. Then you find where these two decimals meet. So you trace them, trace them, trace them, trace them, then follow the diagonal, and once again you've got 120 in a few different ways. So now simply to get your answer, you take your 6,400 that we got from this first partial product, and then you add it to our 120. You got 0, 0 plus 2 is 2, 4 plus 1 is 5, and 6 plus nothing is 6. So our answer is 6,520. Go down to the bottom of the page now and we'll do the next problem. Let me just help you see what's happening visually in this example with partial products. This is a great example, I think, for us to understand kind of how this works. So in this problem, it's wanting you to find out the area of a patio. And with this one, I'm just going to help you set up the problem. So we have 500 times 22.12, because the way you find area is length times height. So this is our problem right here. 500, I apologize for my 5, times 22.12. So we can set this up once again with the distributive property with partial products as 500 times 22 plus 500 times 0.12. Now what this would look like visually would be if we were to split this rectangle into two different problems. So we're imagining something like this, where we split this, so now it's 500 by 22 feet, and also 500 by 0.12 feet. And so that's how this works. It's like you're calculating one area and then the other. We're not going to solve this one. Just go ahead and turn your page and get started right away on the group work when you get there. Okay, scholars, now it's time for you to do the group work, which is numbers 1 and 2. And you want to do it just like I have a cool hair do. So thank you, and get right to work. Okay, wrap up that group work, and now we are on to your independent work. I recognize that independent work is difficult at times because you don't get to benefit from each other. So let me sort of get you started with this one. You are going to end up with your partial products for 200 times 38.4. It's going to be 200 times, I want you to fill in that blank, plus 200 times, and fill in that other blank. Get both of your answers to these blanks from there, and then go ahead and solve it. You've got a few minutes to try out all three of these problems. If you finish early, get right to work on your exit ticket. If you have not already moved on to your exit ticket, get right to work on it. Remember that it is a priority over the other work in this packet because it's worth more points. It's what tells me whether you learned what you were supposed to tonight or today or not. So get right to work, and always remember, give it your best shot, because even if you don't get it totally right, if I can see what you know, you'll get some points for trying along the way. So best of luck, and thank you.